With their new album set to debut in just a matter of days, Linkin Park has taken the music industry by storm yet again with their new song, Over Each Other. Welcome to the Film and Learning Podcast, where we learn how to make better videos by analyzing other people's work and focusing on our own. My name is Mark, and today we're doing a breakdown on Linkin Park's Over Each Other music video. Something that I've always liked about Linkin Park is that often their music videos are made by the band themselves, and this case is no exception. Their director for this is also the DJ, Mr. Hahn, Joe Hahn. This is also the very first video that they have shot in Korea, which has a connection to Joe Hahn and his heritage as well. So I am stoked for this music video breakdown as we will look at colors and cinematography and all sorts of stuff. And to do that deep dive analysis, I'm going to turn you over to Grayson and Maya, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side.
All right, so welcome to the deep dive, and today we're diving deep into a music video.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. It's Linkin Park's Over Each Other.
Okay.
And specifically, we're looking at this analysis that Mark wrote, which really breaks down how director Joe Hahn, who is a band member himself, crafted this whole piece. And I think, you might be thinking to yourself, wait a minute, music video for a deep dive.
Yeah, right.
But trust me, this one is special. And it's really less about, being like a huge Linkin Park fan and more about appreciating how like music and visuals can come together and tell a really powerful story.
Yeah, and I think this is a really good example of how a lot of creative mediums can kind of like intersect and elevate each other. And Mark makes a really compelling case for this being like a study in visual storytelling, even if you're not like super into music or whatever.
Absolutely. And, one of the first things he points out is how Over Each Other is structured more like a film than just a regular music video. Like we're kind of thrown right into the climax of the story, and then we're taken back to see like how we got there.
Interesting.
It's non-linear and it immediately grabs your attention.
Yeah, and what's fascinating is it's not just for shock value,
Right.
It really reinforces that theme of miscommunication, which is so central to the whole thing. Like, we see the devastating outcome first, and then we're kind of taken through all the steps that led to that point, and you really feel the weight of each decision and like every missed opportunity.
Okay, so let's unpack those steps. Like, what are we talking about here?
Sure.
Mark kind of lays out, like this classic relationship drama, right? Mm-hmm. There's this heated argument between the main characters, and then boom, a car crash. Ultimately, one of them doesn't make it. But then the video doesn't just dwell on the tragedy. It kind of like hints at this possibility of reconciliation, which is really interesting.
I see.
It adds like another layer of complexity.
And this is where I think the K-drama influence that Mark brings up comes. It's not just about the surface level stuff like, their very high production quality or the episodic structure. Mm-hmm. It's more about how the video explores those themes of like friendship and miscommunication and, kind of throws those like emotionally charged twists and turns that K-dramas are known for.
So is it like Joe Hahn is tapping into like a global storytelling style that resonates with a certain audience?
Yeah.
And like by doing that, adding another layer of depth to the video's whole narrative.
Exactly. And it raises the question, is this deliberate? Like, is this a deliberate attempt to reach a wider audience, or is it more a reflection of like the band's own evolving artistic influences?
Yeah.
Either way, it adds this really fascinating dimension to the analysis.
This leads perfectly into talking about the title itself, Over Each Other.
Right.
On the surface, it seems like it's just a simple breakup song, right?
Yeah.
But Mark is arguing that the video reveals something much deeper.
Absolutely. It's about those moments when people, especially like in relationships, stop really listening to each other. They're talking over each other, both literally and figuratively. And that breakdown in communication, that inability to connect, really has devastating consequences in the video's storyline.
Yeah, and those consequences hit hard with that big reveal. Like, at first you think Emily Armstrong, the female character, she's survived the crash. Yeah. But then we get the truth, and she's the one who died.
Yeah, it's a classic K-drama trope, and it's used so brilliantly here.
Right.
It not only creates that sense of shock, but it really amplifies the tragedy of their miscommunication. And we see Emily's ghost singing this haunting reminder of what's been lost. It's heartbreaking and incredibly effective.
Yeah, it really makes you think about all the ways that we talk over each other in our own lives, too.
Absolutely.
Not just in romantic relationships, but like friendships, families, even broader social interactions. Like this seemingly simple music video suddenly has some pretty profound implications.
It really does, and I think that's what makes this deep dive so compelling.
Yeah.
We're unpacking a story that works on so many different levels.
Totally.
It's entertaining, it's emotional, and it prompts some serious introspection.
And speaking of unpacking, Mark really gets into how Joe Hahn uses visual techniques to heighten those emotions.
Oh, yeah.
He switches between handheld shots during those tense arguments.
Yeah.
So it gives us that feeling of being right there in the middle of it.
Totally.
And then he uses steady cam shots for those quieter, more reflective moments.
What's so impressive to me is that these choices aren't just about aesthetics.
Right.
They're actively shaping the viewer's experience. Those handheld shots increase the tension, make us feel almost claustrophobic, and then the steady cam allows us to breathe a little bit. To reflect on what we're seeing.
It's like the camera becomes another character almost.
Exactly. It's a testament to Hahn's skill as a director. His ability to really manipulate that visual language to create a truly immersive experience. And it goes way beyond camera work. Mark highlights how he uses light and shadow throughout the video, too.
It's like he paints with light and darkness,
Yeah.
Using it to underscore those emotional shifts in the story. Think about those warm golden tones he uses in scenes before the accident.
Yeah, those warm tones really represent that connection, a sense of life and vibrancy in their relationship.
And then after the crash,
Yeah.
Everything shifts.
There's this stark shift to cool blues grays and lots of shadows.
It's such a powerful visual metaphor.
Yeah.
It's like the world itself has become colder and more desolate after this tragedy happens.
And it goes beyond just creating a mood.
Right.
Mark points out that there's specific symbolism associated with each color palette. Those warm tones evoke feelings of safety and connection, and the cool tones tap into sadness and despair. It's subtle, but incredibly effective in guiding the viewer's emotional response.
It's amazing how much depth Hahn is layering into this seemingly simple music video. And Mark also points out that the symbolism goes beyond color. He sees the car accident itself as a metaphor.
Of course, yeah. It's this sudden, violent break, a perfect visual representation of their relationship completely falling apart.
Exactly. And then there are the emergency services that arrive at the scene,
Yeah.
And Mark interprets those as a symbol of the desperate need for resolution, trying to fix what's been broken.
Right. But sometimes, as we see tragically, it's just too late.
Exactly. Have you ever experienced a moment like that, like a turning point where you knew you needed to fix something to salvage a relationship, but the damage was already done?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
It's a powerful reminder that communication and understanding are so essential, especially when you're navigating those crucial moments in life.
Absolutely.
This video really does pack an emotional punch. But I want to shift gears for a second and dive into one specific visual element that Mark highlights.
Okay.
It's his favorite shot in the whole video. And he describes the scene right after the crash. So you see one character's on a stretcher, injured but alive, and the other is lying on the ground covered by a sheet.
Right.
The message is so clear and heartbreaking.
Definitely.
But what makes this shot even more powerful is this seemingly insignificant detail.
What's that?
It's the bright yellow road stripe that runs along the left side of the frame.
Okay, but why would a yellow stripe be so significant?
Well, remember how we were talking about warm colors symbolizing connection and life?
Right.
That yellow stripe is a direct visual callback to those happier times before the accident.
Wow, that's brilliant. Such a subtle yet impactful way to remind the viewer of what's been lost.
Totally.
That yellow stripe, a symbol of hope and connection, now stands in such stark contrast to the harsh reality of death.
Mark describes it as sad with irony, and I don't think there's a better way to put it.
Yeah.
It's like that yellow stripe underscores the tragedy, reminding us that these vibrant, connected lives have been irrevocably altered.
It's true, and I think that this attention to detail is what elevates over each other from a standard music video,
Right.
to this meticulously crafted visual narrative. Each element, from the camera work to the color palette to even the smallest detail, like a yellow stripe, is strategically chosen to enhance the storytelling.
And critics definitely took notice.
Yeah.
Mark mentions that the video received critical acclaim for its innovative approach to storytelling within the music video format. Critics praised Joe Hahn's direction and his ability to evoke such raw emotion through the visuals.
It really is a testament to the fact that creative boundaries can be pushed, even within a genre that's often seen as just purely promotional. And this wasn't just a hit with critics either. It resonated deeply with viewers. It went viral shortly after it was released.
This viral success speaks volumes. It shows that audiences are hungry for more than just like catchy tunes and flashy visuals.
Yeah.
They crave stories that move them, that make them think, that challenge their perceptions in over each other. Delivered on all fronts.
It really did, and it's amazing how a 4-minute music video can spark such a profound conversation and resonate with so many people.
It really does speak to the power of art, especially when different mediums like music and film come together so seamlessly.
And that kind of brings up something that we haven't really touched on yet.
Oh, what's that?
We've discussed the visuals, the symbolism, the emotional impact, but what about the music itself?
Oh, right.
How does it, intertwine with all these other elements?
We can analyze the video all day, but we can't forget that it's ultimately a visual interpretation of a song, right?
Exactly.
It's meant to enhance and elevate the music.
And in this case, the fusion of music and visuals is just masterful. As the tension builds in the story, the song's intensity mirrors that escalation. And then there are those moments of quiet reflection, both musically and visually, that allow us to really absorb the weight of what's happening.
And the lyrics add another layer of depth, too. Lines like, "We're talking over each other." They take on a whole new meaning when they're visualized on screen,
Yeah.
They're no longer just words. They become actions with tangible consequences.
Yeah, the visuals almost give the lyrics like a physical form, making that impact even more potent. It's a reminder that music videos at their best can be more than just promotional tools.
Right.
They can be a form of visual poetry, enhancing the emotional resonance of the music.
And Mark's analysis definitely makes a really compelling case for Over Each Other, being a prime example of this.
It does.
He champions it as a piece that's worth studying, not just for Linkin Park fans, but for anyone who is interested in visual storytelling.
Absolutely. It's a testament to Joe Hahn's artistic vision. He's not just a musician, he's a storyteller who understands the power of visual language. And what I think is really exciting is that this video has the potential to inspire other people to explore music videos through this more analytical lens,
So to you, our listener, we encourage you to watch Over Each Other again after today's deep dive.
Yeah, give another watch.
Pay attention to the details that we've talked about. The symbolism, the color choices, the way the music and visuals work together.
Yeah.
You might be surprised by how much you discover.
Think about the music videos that have really impacted you.
Yeah.
What makes them so effective? Is it the story, the visuals, the way they connect to the music? By asking these questions, you can deepen your appreciation for this art form that's often overlooked.
And who knows, maybe you'll even feel inspired to create something yourself. After all, art has the power to connect us, to challenge us, and to help us see the world in new ways. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.
See you next time.
So there you have it, Over Each Other by Linkin Park. The new album drops here in just a couple of days. I can't wait to see what other songs are on there, and especially what future music videos they make, because for me, that almost matters more than the music. The creativity, the visual art is where it's at, and that's why you're here too. Thanks for listening. I will catch you guys in the very next episode of the Film and Learning Podcast. You can always visit us too at filmandlearning.com.